When you finally walk away, something shifts that words can't capture. The woman who once felt so certain, so confident that you'd always be there, suddenly feels a kind of emptiness she doesn't understand. For so long, she had the upper hand. She knew your patterns, your reactions, your willingness to stay, no matter how distant she became. But the moment you stopped trying, the moment your energy disappeared, the balance changed. What she once took for granted is now gone. And that absence speaks louder than any argument, louder than any confession of love could, because when you walk away, not out of anger, but out of peace, it carries a different kind of power, a power that doesn't need to prove anything. At first, she doesn't feel it. She might even celebrate your absence. She'll tell herself she's free, that she's finally done with the emotional weight. She'll laugh with friends, post stories, make it look like life is better now. But what she doesn't realize is that it's all a mask, because deep down, she's already begun to sense that something has changed. Your silence starts to fill the spaces where your presence used to be. The late night texts that don't come anymore, the morning messages that have stopped, the comforting familiarity of your voice, it's all missing. And no matter how she tries to ignore it, that void keeps whispering the truth she doesn't want to face. You're really gone this time. The power shift happens quietly. It's not about manipulation or control. It's about energy. When a man walks away from a place where he was once emotionally invested, he reclaims a part of himself that he forgot existed. You take back the energy that you kept pouring into someone who stopped valuing it. And that's when everything starts to change, because now, instead of chasing her approval, you've started protecting your peace. You've gone from explaining yourself to letting your silence speak. And the more you stay quiet, the louder it gets in her mind. She starts to wonder why you haven't reached out, why you're not trying anymore, why you seem completely unaffected. She'll tell herself you never cared. But even that lie doesn't comfort her, because she knows it's not true. Deep down, she remembers how much you did, how many chances you gave, how many times you showed up even when she didn't deserve it. And now that you're gone, she's forced to confront a reality she never prepared for. A reality where you're no longer available. That realization hurts more than she'll ever admit. By walking away, you didn't just leave, you shifted the entire emotional dynamic. You made her see what life feels like without your consistency, your presence, your effort. And the longer you stay silent, the more that truth grows inside her. She may not say it, but she feels it every day. Because deep down, she knows she's not the one who let you go. She's the one who lost the man who finally chose himself. Your silence has a weight she can't escape. It lingers in the air, follows her through her day, and echoes in the quiet moments she tries to fill with anything that can distract her from the truth. At first, she tells herself that your silence means nothing. She convinces herself that she's unbothered, that she's finally free, that you're the one missing out. But as time passes, that silence starts to grow louder. Every time she checks her phone and doesn't see your name, every time she opens her messages and finds no new words from you, she begins to feel that unsettling stillness that wasn't there before, because for so long your presence was her reassurance. Even when she pushed you away, she knew you'd come back. Now that you haven't, that certainty is gone. Your silence becomes the reminder of everything she's lost. It's not about revenge or pride. It's about the space you've created by refusing to chase what no longer values you. You're no longer feeding her with your attention, your time, or your effort, and that absence is starting to get into her head. She begins to wonder if you've really moved on, if you finally stopped caring, or if there's someone else who's getting what she once had. Those thoughts start as a whisper, but soon they become an echo she can't silence. She checks your profile, she scrolls through old conversations, she replays the moments you shared. trying to make sense of where it all changed. The irony is that your silence is doing what words never could. It's making her think, it's making her feel, it's making her face the reality she ignored when you were still there. What's the power of withdrawing your energy? When a man stops explaining himself, stops trying to fix everything, and chooses to let go instead, it unsettles her in ways she didn't expect, because deep down she built comfort in your consistency. You were her safety net. Even when she didn't want to admit it, now your silence feels like punishment. Not because you intended it that way, but because it exposes her own emptiness. The more she tries to convince herself she's fine, the more your absence proves otherwise. Here's what truly gets to her. Your silence is unpredictable. She can't read it, can't control it, can't manipulate it. You're no longer reacting, and that drives her mind into overdrive. Every unanswered text, every day that passes without a call makes her question her own worth. Did she push too far? Did she lose you for good? Those questions start to eat at her confidence, and slowly the illusion of power she once had begins to crumble. That's when she starts to realize the truth. Your silence isn't weakness, it's strength, it's peace, it's control reclaimed. And while she's still trapped in the noise of her thoughts, you've already found clarity in yours. Because real power doesn't come from saying more, it comes from finally saying nothing at all. She may look calm on the outside, but inside she's at war with herself. When you were around, she always had the reassurance of your presence, the messages, the calls, the small gestures that told her she mattered. But now that you've walked away, her mind has no place to rest. Your silence has become a mirror, forcing her to face everything she tried to avoid. She tells herself she's fine, that she's happier now, that life is moving on. But that's only the story she tells others. Deep down, she's fighting her own reflection, trying to convince herself she didn't mess up something real. See, when a man walks away quietly, it doesn't just create distance, it creates a vacuum. A space that used to be filled with your attention, your energy, your care, and that void doesn't stay empty. It starts echoing back her own actions. She begins to replay the moments she dismissed you, the times she ignored your effort, the times she made you feel like you weren't enough. Now that your presence is gone, all those little things she took for granted start haunting her. It's not regret that hits her first. It's realization. Realization that you were constant, loyal, and patient in ways most men aren't. And now, as she sits alone, she's starting to see the difference between the attention of many and the connection of one. Outwardly, she still tries to look strong. She posts pictures, goes out, acts carefree. But that's the performance of someone trying to escape her thoughts. When the night comes and the world goes quiet, that's when your silence hits hardest. She starts to wonder if you ever think about her, if you miss her the way she misses you, if you even care anymore. And that uncertainty eats away at her confidence. The same woman who once acted like she didn't need you is now questioning why your absence hurt so much. Your silence becomes the conversation she can't stop having with herself. Every moment she checks her phone and doesn't see your name, her mind races. She wonders if you've really moved on, if there's someone else, or if you've simply grown past her. And that thought, the idea that you might have outgrown her emotionally, is what shakes her to the core, because it means she's no longer in control. The man who once made her feel wanted now makes her feel replaced, and that feeling cuts deeper than any argument could. And here's the truth she'll never admit. She misses the version of herself that existed when she had your love. She misses how secure she felt in your energy, how valued she felt in your presence. Without you, she's not just missing you, she's missing the way she felt when you were there. That's what keeps her restless. That's what keeps her thinking. Because when you walked away, you didn't just leave. You took with you the part of her that only existed in your presence. Your silence is not just quiet, it's powerful. It's the kind of silence that speaks louder than any words ever could. She may not admit it, but it's starting to crawl under her skin, slowly taking up space in her thoughts. When you stop explaining yourself, when you stop chasing, when you stop reacting, it forces her to do something she never expected, to think. And not just think about you, but about herself, her choices, and everything she did to push you away. You see, silence makes people uncomfortable because it removes their control. When you were always there to respond, she knew she still had your attention. But when you go quiet, she loses that power. Suddenly, she can't read you. She doesn't know what you're thinking, and that mystery drives her wild. She might try to act like it doesn't bother her, but it does. The same silence that used to come from her when she ignored your calls or delayed her replies is now echoing back, and it's much louder than she ever imagined. Every day that goes by without a word from you, she starts questioning what you're doing, who you're with, and whether you've already forgotten her. She scrolls through your social media hoping to catch a glimpse of something, anything that reveals how you feel. But when she finds nothing, that silence grows heavier. It becomes a storm in her mind. That's the thing about silence. It doesn't just cut communication, it amplifies reflection. She starts remembering the times she had your attention, the moments you cared, the effort you gave, and now the absence of it all starts to feel unbearable. What used to be normal for her, your presence, your consistency, your care, has now become a ghost she can't escape. And the longer she goes without hearing from you, the more she realizes how much space you actually filled in her life. Silence changes the narrative. It shifts the power. When you stop trying to prove your worth, your absence begins to prove it for you. She begins to understand that your silence isn't weakness, it's strength. It's the strength of a man who knows his value, who refuses to beg for love, and who understands that peace is more powerful than chasing someone who doesn't appreciate it. And that realization breaks her pride piece by piece. Because now she's the one thinking, wondering, hoping, and you're the one she can't read. And that's the beauty of it. Silence, when used with self-respect, becomes the loudest message of all. You don't have to remind her of what she lost. Time and silence will do that for you. Because while words can be ignored, silence echoes in a way that never fades, and deep down, she's already starting to hear it. Silence doesn't just make her think, it begins to expose what was always hidden beneath her pride. When you walk away and stay quiet, it gives her time to see herself without the attention she used to get from you. At first, she might act like she doesn't care. She'll go out, post pictures, laugh louder, and do everything to make it seem like your absence doesn't matter. But the truth is, every distraction is temporary. Every laugh fades when the lights go out and the crowd is gone. That's when silence gets louder and her thoughts start replaying every memory she tried to bury. The silence begins to peel away the layers of her denial. She starts realizing that maybe you weren't the one who was weak. Maybe you were just tired of being taken for granted. She replays the moments where you went the extra mile, where you listened, cared, and stayed loyal. And now those same efforts feel like things she will never get back. You see, when you're gone, she doesn't just lose your presence. She loses the emotional stability that came with it. The calmness you brought, the understanding you showed, it all starts to haunt her. And here's the twist. The silence doesn't punish her out of anger. It teaches her through absence. She begins to compare you with everyone she meets. No matter how hard she tries to move on, the energy is never the same. Every conversation feels shallow. Every new person feels like a stranger who can't match the depth you once gave effortlessly. And that's when she starts realizing the cost of losing a man who brought peace not chaos. That's when she begins to miss not just you, but who she was when she was with you. Because deep down, she knows she felt more alive, more valued, more connected. Silence gives her space to see the reality she avoided. You didn't need to prove your worth through words anymore because the lack of your presence becomes its own proof. Every unanswered message, every day you don't reach out is a reminder that you've moved on with dignity while she's stuck in the echo of what she lost. And the irony is, she once thought your silence meant you didn't care. But now she realizes it means you finally started caring about yourself. That's the shift she never saw coming. The more she feels your silence, the more she starts to understand that you were the calm in her chaos, not the cause of it. And when that realization hits, it doesn't fade quickly. It lingers, it grows, it hurts. Because she now knows the man she once took for granted is the same man she can't replace, no matter how far she runs or how much time passes. And that truth, that haunting silence, will stay with her longer than your presence ever did. There comes a moment long after you've walked away when your silence stops being confusing and starts becoming powerful. It's the moment she realizes that you're not waiting, not chasing, and not trying to remind her of what she lost. You've accepted the truth, focused on your growth, and allowed time to do what words never could. This is when the dynamic shifts completely. The silence that once made her feel in control now becomes the very thing that exposes her weakness. She starts wondering why you're so calm, why you're not reacting, and why you're not looking back. That uncertainty eats at her confidence piece by piece because deep down, she knows that your silence is not indifference, it's evolution. When a man walks away and stays quiet, it signals emotional maturity and strength. You're no longer trying to convince her of your worth because you finally understand that real value doesn't need an audience. Every second you choose silence, you reclaim your power. You send a message louder than any argument ever could. You're not available for someone who couldn't appreciate your presence. And while she may not admit it, that kind of silence terrifies her because what hurts her most isn't that you left, it's that you didn't look back. Time starts revealing everything. She begins to see that no one else gives her that same level of comfort or security. No one listens like you did. No one brings peace like you used to. Every man she meets reminds her of what she lost, and worse, what she'll never find again. That's when she begins to feel the real cost of taking you for granted. The silence becomes the mirror she can't avoid, reflecting her choices, her mistakes, and her pride. It's not revenge, it's reality settling in. As you continue to grow, she starts to feel smaller in comparison, not because you wanted to make her feel that way, but because you finally stepped into the man you were always meant to be. The man who no longer seeks validation from someone who couldn't see his value. You're not bitter, you're better. You're not waiting for her to come back. You're waiting for life to show you something greater. That's the energy that commands respect. That's the silence that speaks louder than words. And that's the moment when she starts missing you in a way that words can't describe. Because silence is not emptiness, it's transformation. It's the space where healing happens, where strength grows, and where your value multiplies. And the longer you stay silent, the more the world and she realizes what they lost when you walked away. So don't break that silence for temporary emotions. Let time do the talking. Let your growth be the answer. Because in the end, your silence will echo louder than her apologies ever could.